Last summer I built this epic Peltier air conditioning unit and you guys liked it so much. You gave a lot of advices and improvements, and today it is time for the part 3. And of course we can simply put this unit inside and take this outside and see what happens, but I think it will be much interesting if we build a proper big AC unit with bigger fans, bigger radiators and more powerful Peltier units. Basically, this radiator will become this huge radiator from a car. The new big radiator we will use instead of this one is located here. Instead of this small outside fan, we will use this huge 220 volts fan. Instead of this tiny fan from the hair dryer, we will be using this massive turbine, with some speed control of course. Basically it will become a proper split system, and in the end of this video we will see how much it will cool the room. Enough talking, let's build it. For now I will not disassemble this unit, we will keep it here, and we will start by checking out what's inside of this box. The radiator we used before was pretty tiny and I started searching for a bigger one. And the problem I encountered was that I couldn't find any suitable radiator. And then the guys from JLCCNC hit me up and asked if I want a custom built radiator. And that's exactly what I needed. I needed a huge but long tunnel, so the best thing was to cut 20 pieces like that. And then basically we will stack them together to create a big tunnel. Here is how I did it. We go to JLCCNC.com, you upload your design files, then choose the materials and manufacturing method, and the website generates a quote automatically. It cannot get simpler than that. Besides CNC machining, they offer 3D printing, mechatronic part, standard PCB, advanced PCB, SMT stencil, flex heater, sheet metal and PCB layout. So it's a pretty useful platform if you're building prototypes or custom projects. The parts for this project came out great, as you can see as well, and saved me a lot of time compared to trying to make everything myself. If you are working on your next project and need custom parts made, you can check them out using the link in the description. And here is how this custom radiator will look like. Of course it will be much better if it was just one piece, but I have no idea how a machine can cut a hole which will be 120 mm deep. That's why it's separated into plates of 6 mm thickness. Now let's stack them all together, put inside these metal rods which will hold it together. Looks not bad, but the first thing we'll have to do is polish this surface. I can press from the top with a flat surface so it becomes flat as well, and then we can tighten these screws. Now they are pretty tight, but let's add some clamps so it's even more tighter. Let's use all the clamps I have. Once it is tight, it will not move, so I can polish it with this machine. And by the way, I'm not sure if this is needed because the surface is pretty flat. Well, this is better than nothing, but I think we can stop here and assemble the radiator with 3D printed parts for the fan. We can remove the clamps because it is holding strong with the nuts and the rods. Now we can press all that with these wooden pieces. Holy shit, what the fuck. So now if I remove these nuts and the rods, in theory it should be holding well. And somehow it is holding well. And flatter than that it will not become. So, from one side we have to attach this, I've already put the nuts inside, and from the other side it will have this. The mesh, so if the water condenses inside, the mesh will not pass it out of the radiator. Well, and after all these operations, looks like it's pretty steady and we can remove the clamps. Hopefully it will keep being strong as it is now. And indeed it's pretty strong and it's pretty flat here, which is exactly what we need. Now I'm just cutting and drilling some necessary holes so we can continue the assembly. Now the system to make the AC unit will be the same as we did here. We will squeeze everything in between these metal pieces, and then some metal rods will go inside of the platform. Also we need to evacuate the water, so I made this huge tray, and the AC unit will be on the top. Everything is cut and now we have to drill 4 holes and we can start putting the radiator on the top. We will of course add some glue so no water escapes from these holes where the rods are. And we attach the tray. Add some more glue from the top. And more or less this is what we should have when we finish attaching everything to this platform. We will again attach some rubbers so the metal doesn't touch metal. After that, a heatsink like that will go on top, and another one just like that will go on top as well. Also, as mentioned before, we're using another Peltier modules. These ones are 12715, which I think are the most powerful ones from this AliExpress description. The next step is to put some thermal paste, of course. First we will put some on the warm side. This has to be repeated 4 times, of course, because we have 4 on the top and 4 on the bottom again. By the way, if you connect the plus and minus correctly, the side that has the text is the cold side. So here we can see it on the top. Now we add some thermal paste from the top and we can put the radiator on the top. And now very slowly and very carefully we can put it from the top. Just in case, let's clean the surface with alcohol. Cool, looks like this is holding on, but now let's add the 4 other Peltiers from the top. And then we squeeze all this thing with some metal pieces from the top as well. And finally some more thermal paste from top of the Peltiers. Now from the top we will add a heatsink one like that and another one like that, just because when I was buying them they only had 3 like that. Some more rubber in between the metals, and then the strong metal profiles from the top. What? And finally the cold radiator is squeezed between the 4 heat sinks. And this heatsink looks pretty weird, but I have no choice. Now, before we connect the pipes, let's first organize the cables. And of course the screeds are used to organize them. In this case the cable is managed like that, and again we will connect 4 Peltiers to one power supply and another 4 Peltiers to another power supply. The same should be done from the other side, of course. And that's the other side. Cool, and this brings us to the fan. First of all, the idea was to make this radiator the size of a 12 by 12 centimeters fan, so that the airflow will be pretty huge. But the problem is that these fans are pretty slow. I mean, there are fans which are fast, but not as fast as I might need. So I had several options. I had this one, which was pretty fast. Now it is about 2 watts. 3 watts, 4 watts, and maybe it will arrive to 5 watts in the end. So this is one option. Not bad, but I think we can go faster. Another option is this fan. If you worked with servers, you might know that this is pretty powerful one. If we give it 12 volts, this is what happens. This is pretty fast, but it's pretty small, so I was thinking about another option. And another option is this huge turbine. At the lowest speed we get this much airflow. It's pretty silent, and also we're now at 4 watts. If I increase it a tiny bit, we are now at 6 watts and the airflow is huge. I think this one can provide easily 500 watts of power. If I turn the throttle, this is what happens. So with this turbine we can test a lot of different airflows. And now let's attach it to our radiator. Pretty easily we will just attach it from the back. It is holding strong, but we can add another screw so it will not fly around. And now look at this jet power for the AC unit. Let's also check the airflow now. Like this we can have a gentle breeze, and like this we can have a hurricane. Cool, so now we have the fan from the back, and now we can solve the front. I mean, in the front I was thinking of putting this piece, which has like a mesh inside, so if any droplets of water will hit it, it will stop it and they will go down and then drip from here. The same technology was used, by the way, on the other Peltier machine. Now, to attach it properly I would have to cut these rods, because it will not let me put this thing here. Since we leave this one to dry now, let's build the outside unit, which should be much easier because we will have another platform Then we will have a fan. And as mentioned before, we will use this car radiator. Now let's construct the frame where the radiator will go. It will go like this, by the way. We will simply attach it to the wooden pieces like that. Now, how do we attach it to the platform? Wait a minute, what the fuck? Well, and this somehow holds. And after a bit of searching, I found these two triangles, which are super good and exactly what we need. Nice, and just like that we have the outside unit finished. The outside radiator is done just like that, and we come back to our inside unit. Finally all the glue is dry, and now we can see this part attached well. And this is how it looks if we look inside. Here I have a pump from another experiment we did in the past, and now let's attach it to the base. I think the best thing will be if we attach it from the other side, just like that. And then the pipes will go to the window. Wait, this is not holding strong. The pump is at its place. Now the last step will be attaching the water line. I have a different silicone tube to test if it's better than the one we used before. Attaching them should be no problem. Well, hopefully when we will have water it will not bend easily like it does now. The same should be done in the bottom. Let's cut them more or less the same length. What the hell is that? Yep, and this is how it's gonna look, because I don't wanna leave the cable too short, otherwise it will bend like that. And hopefully when it's filled with water it will not happen as well. Also, a small problem in the bottom is that we have this 3D print protruding, so it is touching the water line a tiny bit, but we'll see what happens when we test it. I'm waiting for all your comments how we should improve it down below. The 3D printed parts are done for the pipes, and now we can connect the two units together. Of course I don't want to use a very long tube, but maybe 1.5 meters should be enough. And so that the tube is fixed in place, I will attach this 3D printed piece and cover it from the top with another one. I will install more pieces like that, so that the tubes hold together. And now one will be attached to the top, and another one to the pump. Just like that, all the pipes go through the pump, and like this indeed it looks like a split system. We have a radiator with a fan outside, and then the radiator with a fan inside. And the Peltier modules, which will make it cool. Now let's add some screeds to the top. Look at this, screed they forgot to add the thing that actually fixes it in place. First time I see one like that. With this the water line is done. Now we have to add the water and see how it flows, because maybe this tiny motor will not be able to handle all this volume. But I hope yes. So the last part will be attaching the power supplies. Now before we connect any power, I thought that the best will be if we sort out the tubes well. So we have some turns like that, and with this we can manage a more uniform cooling of the Peltier units. So the idea is that the cooled water will be entering the two units at the same time. And the same should happen in the bottom. And the water coming from the unit will simply go here. And the same happens with the second heat sink. Literally the same happens in the bottom. The water from the top will enter here and then spread between the two sinks in the bottom. Yeah, well, this is not the best solution, I would say, but at least it's better than it was before. Yep, and this is how it will look on the side. And now time for the second line. Nice, and with this now the line for the water is finished. Now if you are a plumber, of course this is not the way to do it properly, but it is better than it was before. And also we don't have the bends we had before. We have one here, but hopefully when the water is inside it will not be bent. And basically here we just have the in and out connections. Now let's install all the necessary screeds, so the connection is always good. Again, I'm not sure if it's needed, but if it will leak, we will have a small problem, so it's better safe than sorry. What? And now just like that, all the pipes are attached with screeds, so it should be pretty secure. Now let's solve this pump. Instead of this piece printed before, we will use a proprietary one printed now. Simply drill the necessary holes and simply attach it with screws. Somehow it holds, then we will screw some holes here. Then I've added some isolation tape to the pump so we can attach the pipes well. Pump the G and pump it up. Cool, and then this, the tubes that come from the radiator, one of them will go here, another one will go here. But before that, we have to fill it with water. We can actually connect one end. It is not very easy to attach these tubes, because the turns and the T-shaped connectors are a bit bigger. They are meant for the 12mm tubes. Then I will bring a pan with water, and we can connect the pump. Now we remove all the bubbles, and then we would have to somehow connect the pipe and hope that no bubbles are present. Now I think we have 0 bubbles inside the water line, so we can shut down the pump. Holy shit, what? Yeah, so basically this pump vibrates like crazy, and that is why here it's about to disconnect. And that should also happen to this pipe as well. No idea how I meant to connect these tubes to this pump, because the connection should be flat, and like that it will hold pretty tight, and in that case the connection is inclined, and that's why the tube simply slides to the top. Well, in this case I would say that the best thing will be if we use the pump we used before. So we will simply connect this pump here, and then submerge it in the water. Connect it to the power, remove all the bubbles again, and now when I connect the other pipe to the pump under the water, it should continue working and pumping the water. Yep, I think that worked. We can turn it off, by the way, now, and add the final screed. Then these cables will come out here with the pump and connect to the speed controller. We simply connect it to the controller, and lastly we have to pass the power cable for one side and then another. Finally we connect this to these terminals. We repeat the same from the other side. Everything is connected, and with this the inside unit is ready to test. I've also added a nice grill in the front. Now all the power will be outside, because these units will get a bit hot. So I have to fix these power supplies to the board, and then simply connect the cables to the cables we passed before. Finally I have the power supplies connected. The cable is pretty long, but anyways we will hide it somewhere. Then the 2 power supplies are connected here, as well as this huge fan. And now when we plug this plug into the socket, this crazy AC machine should start working. This is working. This is vibrating, so I think it's working as well. Looks like the water flow is fine, and we can slowly turn on the fan. Nice, I can feel a cool breeze. We can see that it's nearly 25 degrees Celsius outside, and now we can put this inside and measure the temperature inside of the AC unit. This is getting warmer and warmer as well. By the way, the power consumption is around 300 watts, which is very low, because one Peltier unit, which is 12615, should output 135 watts. So I'm guessing I got the fake units. Anyways, they still can cool the air a bit, and now we can see that the air coming from the AC unit is at 22.4 degrees. 5 minutes later, on this thermometer we can see that outside it's 25.5, and the air coming from the unit is at 21.6. Anyways, now we know that it works, and now let's test it inside the room with this unit inside and this unit outside. Now somehow I have to take the 2 units together because they are connected. Pim pum pam. Now we have to somehow put the outside unit outside. We have enough space to leave it outside and not on the roof. Let's see if it will hold. What? Oh, I don't know. Fuck. This is how it looks from the outside. By the way, it looks much smaller than the unit of a normal AC unit, which looks like that. The inside unit for some reason has a small leak, so I have to put this thing fast and we can test fast. And that basically was the main idea, to have a separate unit that I can move freely and also direct the air where I need. So what we do now is we leave it working, with me inside the room, blasting the cool air at myself, and we will see what temperature we will get, because now we have 28.5 degrees. So that temperature will be right here, And then of course we will use a separate one to see how cool the air will be coming out of the unit. And finally we can turn it on. 320 watts more or less, because the unit I bought is fake. And now basically I will be editing this video. Let's turn the fan, by the way. So let's wait and see which temperature we will get inside the room. I've left the room and now around half an hour passed, and let's see what temperature we have inside. And the temperature is 28.0 with 70% humidity. From the fan we have 26.3 degrees coming out, which is super high compared to the previous AC unit we did before. But of course that is something to do with the fake Peltier units, which only consume 300 watts and do not cool that well. So if you know where I can get the good powerful TEC units, let me know in the comments. Because now we have all the parts except for the good Peltier modules. If I sit in front, of course I can feel the gentle breeze, which is pretty good, but it will not cool the room a lot, only by 1 degree. Now the turbine is blasting much more air and half an hour passed, and let's see what temperature we have. And we are still at 28 degrees, and the air coming out of the unit is 26.6. It is pretty loud, and I don't understand from where the leak is coming from. Also, we don't have any water condensing on the unit, and that should say that the unit is not as cold as it was before. Again, because these Peltier units are not consuming a lot of power for some reason. And another hour passed, the machine is off, and inside air is 28.9, however the air inside the room is 29.5. So with these fake Peltier units we got 1.5 degrees temperature difference. And with this we arrived to the end of this video. More or less everything worked as planned, but the Peltier didn't deliver, and we had only 300 watts for the 8 Peltier module. Let's see what the factory replies, because of course I contacted them via AliExpress. And again, if you know where to find the most powerful Peltier coolers, let me know, I will purchase from there. Now, since this AC unit didn't perform that well, let's film another part, where we can combine them together if I don't find a proper powerful Peltier unit. We can use the Peltier coolers from here, stack them to these Peltier coolers, like this will have double power. Since this one consumed 300 watts and this one consumed 480, in total we should have around 750 watts. And I'm pretty curious how cool it can get the room done. And of course we have to solve the problem of these being too big and route the pipes well in the back. And maybe search for a better pump. If you have in mind any other improvements, let me know, I will also do that. But this episode is coming to the end. Indeed, we built a split system with 2 radiators and 2 fans. The Peltier didn't deliver, but everything else did, and I will solve that in the next part. And I will see you there.